All right. All right. All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the crowded booth. Uh, Saturday night after Auburn loses to Oklahoma 24-17. Um, a four-quarter game, which I think a lot of people probably expected. A lot lower scoring than I think was expected. Um, I've had some time to calm down. Um, Free therapy. Dev coming in. My work offers free therapy. Let me see if I can get you a session. It's going to take a lot more than one free session, dog. I'm telling you. That was a tough loss, no doubt about it. Um, got a lot of thoughts, pretty raw, pretty new thoughts. And about an hour ago when that game ended, I was hot. I was hot with the way it ended. Jonesy, Auburn should have won that game. Definitely should have won it. Oh, so see, this is only the stuff you get on the crowded booth. I got Pete back here crashing out as well. Um, there he is. You embarrassed? What are you more embarrassed by, Pete? Auburn finding a way to lose that game, or you falling, trying to jump up and look in the window because there's something going on, and my camera goes out of focus. Come on now. See if it can. We are in shambles right now. I'm going audio only for a second as my camera wants to just, do whatever it wants to do. Um, let's see if we can get it back focused. Nope. Nope. This can't have nice things around here. We can't do anything. I don't know what's going on. It did this on the show a couple weeks ago. I don't know what's going on. It won't focus. So let's just look at the numbers. I don't know what's going on with my camera. Pete gave up a few years ago, probably. Okay, so we'll start. Jackson Arnold, a really good game through the air. You look good, blurred. Thanks. 21 of 32, 220 yards, one touchdown. A lot of underneath stuff, but also took shots. Hit Cam Coleman on some shots. Coleman 3 catches for 88 yards. That's what we've kind of been waiting for, what we've been waiting on. Does my camera want to work right? It still looks blurry, but not as bad because I'm stuck over here to the side. This, doing it live, we're going to. Oh, there it goes. Now it wants to work. Very nice. Had some deep shots, Cam Coleman. I thought Auburn should have kept going to that. He was on a freshman, Guillory, and really took advantage on those 3. Should have had another one, dropped it in the end zone. Arnold overthrew him on the other one. Joe Matero, that offensive line caved on the last set of downs. Yeah, I'm getting into the offensive line. So hold on that. Jackson Arnold, 21 rushes officially, negative 11 yards, 10 sacks. I mean, that's going to happen. That counts against your rushing yards. Auburn really struggled running the ball outside of the 44-yard run by Jeremiah Cobb. Really did nothing. Maxwell, just wait. I'm gonna tell you why. But also, I can definitely acknowledge that Auburn shot themselves in the foot. If Auburn could have got out of its own way, they would have won the game. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. We're going to play some of that game. As I rant and rave here about Auburn losing this game. John Mateer, 24 of 36, 271 yards, 1 touchdown. I felt like a lot of underneath stuff. Auburn did a really nice job on the back end. Defensively, I was really, really pleased with Auburn's defense. Mateer, to be your Heisman favorite, I think Auburn did a really great job against him. But Auburn could not cover Isaiah Satania. This dude, it's like he only comes to play when he's playing against Auburn. Here's Bryce. What's up, Bryce? Must be halftime.
I just came in to say hello.
Must be halftime.
Enjoy it. Bye.
There's Bryce. We got a Bryce sighting. Isaiah Satania. It seems like even when he was at Arkansas, he had big games against Auburn. It's like he only had a big game against Auburn a year ago. It's like he only cares to play against Auburn. 9 catches, 127 yards. Deion Burks, Auburn did a pretty nice job against him. 6 catches for 40 yards. Jaron Kanak, the tight end, was a mismatch. 4 catches for 62 yards. Yeah, Eric Singleton. Zach Garrison says it right there. Wait, Eric Singleton can catch the ball. He can when Hugh Freeze schemes up to get on the ball. What are you doing up here? It's the Pete Show. 9 catches for 60 yards for Eric Singleton and nearly threw a touchdown pass. I'll get to that play, but how about the gonads? 3rd and 11, games on the line. Auburn trailing at that point in Oklahoma territory, outside of field goal range. Auburn checks to a double pass, and they had it, and a missed pass interference on 3rd and 11. I'll get to more of that. That's the biggest one that stands out. But he had a really nice game. Malcolm Simmons, 4 catches for 30 yards. Horatio Fields, 2 catches for 18. Damari Austin, 3 catches for 24 yards. Those 3 catches from Damari Austin really seemed to work. I wish Auburn would have gone to more of that. Pete, can you go find something else to do, buddy? That seemed to work really well because Oklahoma was really good up front. They won the battle in the trenches. There's no question about it, especially against Auburn's offensive line. And that's what really concerned me. Let's look at the totals here. Auburn 287 yards, Oklahoma 303, 220 through the air for Auburn, 271 for Oklahoma, 67 rushes for Auburn, 32 for Oklahoma. You take out that 44-yard run by Jeremiah Cobb, and Oklahoma has more rushing yards. The front sevens were very, very good on both sides of the ball. Penalties were killer for both teams. 13 penalties for 85 yards for Auburn, 9 penalties for 99 yards for Oklahoma. Auburn 3 of 15 on 3rd downs, Oklahoma 3 of 12. Auburn 1 of 3 on 4th, Oklahoma 1 for 1. A very even game. A very, very even game, minus the 10 sacks from Oklahoma, just 1 for Auburn. As an Auburn fan, it's frustrating. And you know, I got to talk about the offensive line. Auburn's offensive line was outplayed. 10 sacks, 14 tackles for loss for Oklahoma. See it right there. 14 TFLs. So many guys had tackles for Oklahoma. Let's see. Can I get? Oh, there we go. I can get it all on the screen. 14 TFLs, 10 sacks. You are not going to win any games when your offensive line plays that badly. Also throwing some holds, throwing some false starts. Really, really, really disappointed in the offensive line play. This was a unit that coming into the year I thought was much improved. Now Oklahoma, really good team, really good defense. Sorry, I got distracted by the comments. Really good team, really good defense. We know their pass rush is going to be good, but the twists all game long gave Auburn fits. There was no adjustment from Auburn, at least up front. Good question here from I'm going to assume it's Landon Smith. Do TFLs include the sacks or no? No, they do not. That's the worst part. They do not. Austin talking about what's up with all the QB draws. Those are RPOs in Auburn's offense. And, you know, it didn't matter because the passing, the receivers weren't there. They weren't open. The running lanes weren't open. Oklahoma was great defensively. And you knew that was going to happen with Brent Venables. But the offensive line was just really bad. Really, really bad from Auburn. Let's see. Where can I find offensive line stats? The stat broadcast do offensive line stats. I'm learning on the fly. We can see penalties, false start, holding, false start, holding, false start. All the penalties were by Auburn's offensive line. Are offensive. Okay, so we see offensive penalties, and Auburn had 3 defensive penalties. But I mean, most penalties are made by offensive lines. But the offensive line really bad. See, so we see here, 2nd and 20, we get a false start. 2nd and 10, we get a hold at the end of the game. See here, early in the 2nd quarter, a false start. This holding, well, that run went for nowhere, and it was a hold. Just horrendous offensive line play, and very disappointing, because this was a unit that was supposed to be much improved from Auburn and did not show it. Did not show it at all. Every position got outplayed up front from Auburn. I don't know that. I'll be interested to see the PFF grades when they come out, but I don't think any Auburn lineman had a good game. And you're not going to win games if you get outplayed on the offensive line. So, regardless of all that. And Brent Venables, he outcoached Hugh Freeze. No question about it. He outcoached him. The game plan was better. The scheme from Oklahoma was better on both sides of the ball. It's like Auburn didn't have an answer, and Auburn didn't make many adjustments. I thought they should have kept going to Cam Coleman, especially with Guillory on him. They only did that a handful of times. I mean, if it's working, just keep going to it. Just keep sending Cam Coleman deep. Let him go make a play. That's what he's there for. That's what you are paying him to do, to let him go make plays. That's what you're paying Eric Singleton to do, is go make plays. Auburn's in the first quarter, the drive when Auburn kicked the field goal. Let's pull this play up. The field goal. Where is it? This one. A 10-play, 87-yard drive. Oh, man, it doesn't give me the plays. Okay, anyway, the third down play before the field goal. Auburn lines up. They motion Eric Singleton into the backfield. They have Cam Coleman one-on-one on the outside. And I said it while Auburn's lined up. I said Auburn should throw a comeback to Cam Coleman right here at the pylon. Throw it to the pylon where only Cam Coleman can get it. Kind of box out whatever the corner is on him and just throw it to the pylon so only he can make the play. Instead, it's a swing pass behind the line of scrimmage to the short side of the field to Eric Singleton. That plays just one example of bad coaching, bad play calling from Auburn in this game. And the old cliche is games are won and lost during the week. This game undoubtedly was won by Oklahoma during the week of preparation. Oklahoma looked more prepared. They executed a whole lot better. They had fewer penalties, albeit for more yards. You take out those 2 offensive pass interference calls, and they have a much bigger advantage. I feel like those are the design play, but if you could, I think those are the easiest ones to point out if you're Oklahoma and get away from that. A huge advantage. And it's really disappointing from an Auburn perspective, because Auburn has already been on the road this year. Auburn went on the road and beat Baylor. Okay. The first game of the year, and Auburn looked more prepared for that game than they did for this game. And you can say, well, they had all offseason, they had all summer, all fall to prepare for Baylor. And you're right, but Auburn played Ball State and South Alabama the 2 weeks leading up to this. There was time for at least the coaching staff to look ahead on their own and look ahead to Oklahoma and do some early prep before those games. And it seems like that didn't happen. I've said it. I've said it on the shows many times. I don't know what Auburn just seems so extremely disjointed offensively. I was very concerned about that. I was making the joke that Auburn's got 3 guys calling plays. And Hugh Freeze is the play caller. And, I think this is how it works in nearly every football team. Excuse me. That you have a primary play caller and you have staffers, assistants, game planning and assisting during games to call plays. I think that's the same thing that's going on at Auburn, but the way that was handled, what was said to the media, and how things look today, it just will shine more light on that Auburn is disjointed because you probably got too many cooks in the kitchen trying to influence play calling. You've got your offensive coordinator who's a running backs coach. You've got a quarterbacks coach that you trust to kind of command your passing game, do all your homework in the passing game. And Auburn couldn't get into a rhythm. I think a rhythm in this game. I think a lot of it was due to play calling and maybe having three guys saying too much, trying to get too much going. And I'm a big believer in all the buck stops with the head coach. And I'll get more into this, but if you look disjointed and your head coach is calling the plays, who else are you going to put responsibility on? And I know you got to go out and execute, but personnel, Oklahoma showed they had better personnel than Auburn, on the lines of scrimmage. Oklahoma had better personnel. Their defensive line personnel was better than Auburn's personnel, and that was a huge part of the game and a big reason why Oklahoma won. I got to talk about the Auburn defense. The Auburn defense was really good. Yeah, they gave up 300 yards. Okay, I thought they played more than well enough to win the game. They gave up 22 points. If you go on the road and give up 22 points, you're giving yourself a really, really, really good chance to win. I thought the tackling was greatly improved than the first 3 games of the year. I thought Auburn, whoever was on the field, they looked like that's where they were supposed to be. I don't, obviously I'll go back and watch more of the game and have more calm and collected thoughts for the live show tomorrow night. But I didn't feel like there was really any busts. The only confusion was the Satania touchdown where he faked an injury to come off the field, which they said on the broadcast should have been a penalty. And Auburn was trying to call a timeout. I don't know why the officials didn't give Auburn a timeout. You had Durkin and Freeze both screaming, asking for a timeout. Nobody heard them, I guess. And it should have been a penalty. It shouldn't have counted anyway. But the defense was really good. Maxwell, Oklahoma fan, front seven, had me scared. Couldn't run to save our lives. Yeah, I mean, 26 rushing attempts, 32 total rushing yards. You go on the road in the SEC and you give up less than 50 yards on the ground, you have a really good chance of winning the game. And, when that happens, when your defense comes out and plays this well and you lose the game, you point to the offense. Why did the offense not do it? And Auburn certainly had chances. Offensively, I feel like Auburn got in their own way more than Oklahoma kind of. And Oklahoma's pass rush was great. Don't get me wrong. 10 sacks. You sack the quarterback 10 times, you're going to win the game 99 out of 100 times. That's going to happen. But it was the lack of adjustments from Auburn offensively against the Oklahoma pass rush. It was Jackson Arnold not making the adjustments he needed to make. Could be a scheme thing, which I'll go back to the offense and talk more about that. A lot of problems. The defense was really good. Defense was really, really, really good. I thought gave Auburn a chance to win. The only complaint I can have about the defense was the game-winning drive for Oklahoma. Auburn takes the lead 17-16, and then they come out defensively and they play soft, which I kind of saw it coming with DJ Durkin. You kind of know that was coming from DJ Durkin, and it was frustrating because Auburn did not play that way the entire game. They just kind of backed off and let Mateer dictate what was going to happen. And I would have much rather seen Auburn clamp it down, keep it tight like they did for the rest of the game. But other than that, I thought the defense was really good. I was really pleased. Can't remember of any busts off the top of my head. And the tackling was far, far better. I got to talk about officiating. It feels like the officials, I mean, from the get-go, put a heavy influence on this game, overturning the fumble return for a touchdown. I know that's early in the game. You can say Auburn had the whole game to improve, to overcome that, but that changes the game. Changes the entire game in the first quarter. And I don't know what they were looking at. I see a guy catch the ball, take 2 steps, and then lose the ball as he's being tackled. That's what I saw. To me, that's a catch. I mean, if you catch it, you take 2 steps, that's a catch. You got control of it. So that was frustrating. A ton of missed holds on Oklahoma that were killer. But I feel like every fan could say this, that, nobody calls, only your team gets called for holding, but that certainly felt like the case. Some clear, blatant miss offensive pass, or not offensive, just some clear and blatant missed pass interference calls. The biggest one, the double pass play, Eric Singleton to Cam Coleman. I mean, he just tackles him. And the referee, the back judge is right there. He's not looking. He's trying to get out of the way, but there's no other official on the field that saw that. I mean, that was a huge miss. Yeah, Maxwell, you're right. He says, my friend said it best, expecting the refs to know the rules is asking too much. Yeah, it is asking too much. You never want to leave it in the hands of the officials, because you're going to lose every time if you do that. But I feel like 2 things can be true, right? Auburn did not take their chances, did not take their opportunities to win this game. But I think can also be said at the same time that this is one of the most horrendous displays of officiating that I can remember in quite a while. I think it was bad for both sides. I think there was some calls that they certainly missed that would have benefited Oklahoma as well. But it was bad. And Dev, I love this. Bring on the ACC style ref review cam. The Big 12's doing it too. But I can almost assure you that the SEC will not do that. And I said it during the game, and I still feel this way. I get laughed at a lot for it, but there's an anti-Auburn agenda. And, with Alabama and Georgia both off today, those people, and that's who drives this anti-Auburn agenda. They didn't have anything better to do but to sit around and watch Auburn and Oklahoma and have their influence and do all that they can to make sure Auburn doesn't win. So now big picture for Auburn. And this is going to be, a lot deeper than the rest of this year, but this is this year and beyond. I want to pull up Auburn's schedule for this. Auburn has put themselves in a really tough position because we knew this 3-game stretch was going to be very difficult. And Auburn played more than well enough to win this game. This is a game that, Auburn probably should have found a way to win this game, considering the next 2 coming up. You would Auburn probably, because look, you go on the road to Texas A&M next week, and then you have Georgia at home after a bye week. This is an extremely difficult 3-game stretch. This is a game that the way your defense played, it's one you're going to look back on and feel like you could have won and you probably should have won. Even with all the bad that happened, Auburn still had a chance to win the game. 10 sacks, they still had a chance to win it. To me, from what I've seen so far from this Auburn team and from especially Texas A&M and Georgia, Auburn's staring down the barrel at 3-3. And you look what's after that. Missouri, who looks great, especially offensively. Arkansas, I know they lost to Memphis today. But depending on what happens, Auburn going to Fayetteville, that is going to be a very tricky game. A game that Auburn will certainly have to get up for. We know Arkansas, they played for Sam Pittman. If he's still there, there's a lot going on with that one. Home against Kentucky, a game Auburn should win. On the road at Vanderbilt, you can never count out Vanderbilt with Diego Pavia and with Hugh Freeze coaching Auburn. Don't think I have to go into more detail there. And then Mercer, who's one of the top FCS teams, Auburn's going to have to get up for that game. And then Alabama, which could be a coin flip. If Auburn could have stolen this game against Oklahoma, I think this was the most winnable of this 3-game stretch. Coming into the season, I felt that way. Going into today, you think Georgia at home, you feel pretty good about, but it's an extremely difficult 3-game stretch. I think Auburn is, like I said, staring down a 3-3 start to the year, and then it's going to be a struggle just to get to 6 wins and get to bowl eligibility. You could say give Auburn, Mercer, and Kentucky, and maybe Arkansas, depending on what Arkansas looks like, if they can bounce back from today. But it's tough sledding. And I want to talk about Hugh Freeze. Going back to being outcoached by Venables and kind of the lack of adjustments offensively. The outside run was working really well. Felt like Auburn gave up on the run too early. Especially the outside run was working. I mean, Oklahoma did a great job between, stopping the inside stuff. They didn't let Arnold get away coming up the middle, up through climbing the pocket. They did a great job of preventing that. But the outside runs were working for Auburn. Felt like they got away from that. And I don't know. You can talk about Jack Arnold holding the ball too long. There were certainly some plays, and Greg McElroy on the broadcast kept hammering it home. And the ESPN, ABC was showing replays, and McElroy saying he's holding the ball too long, but they're throwing up graphics and colors to show you that the receivers are not open. So I don't know where you think he should go with the ball. Throw it at the feet of the receiver just so you don't get sacked. I mean, I guess that's a little bit better, but like no one's open. And I worry that that's a scheme problem because the talent should be there. Auburn, especially at wide receiver, Auburn is heavily invested into wide receiver. These guys have to get open. And I certainly think they're talented enough. So I'm afraid it's a scheme issue. And that falls on Hugh Freeze. This is his offense. He's the play caller. And that causes a huge problem. And, Auburn in recent years, this feels like the same. Auburn is falling back into the same problems that it had, and the reason why Auburn moved on from Gus Malzahn. I was saying it today. I was texting Bryce and Ralph and Gavin during the game. I said Hugh Freeze is just Gus Malzahn in a long sleeve t-shirt. I mean, he can recruit the skill positions. His offense works if you have better players, but if you have similar or worse players, you don't have a chance. And that's the way it's feeling offensively. And that's a big issue. And I think big games are an issue. When you can't win at the line of scrimmage, you're not going to win big games. And big games are, quote unquote, big games against big teams. And those big teams have good offensive lines, no matter, and defensive lines. In Georgia, their defensive line is still really good. Texas A&M's defensive line is still really good. Oklahoma showed theirs was really good. Alabama still has great talent and great players. I think the jury's still out on their coaching staff, but at least at this point. But they've got good players on the lines. And coming into this game, it gave me some confidence because Pro Football Focus ranked Auburn's offensive line and defensive line better than Oklahoma's. So and Oklahoma certainly wanted this game. There's no doubt about it. They were up. They wanted this game. They wanted it more than Auburn, especially up front. But I'm worried about the offense and worried that it's a big scheme issue because talent-wise, Auburn is in a much better spot than they were a year ago across the board. Offensive line is better and more talented. Quarterback is certainly better and more talented. Wide receivers, deeper, a lot of talent there. The only one that I think took a step back was running back, which I think is its own problem. But if your other 3 units are better, the offense should be better, and it does not feel like it's any better. Could just be overreacting over one bad game. We'll wait and see. I said it. a couple times during the game. I need John Cohen on a plane to New Orleans tonight. I don't care what Tulane looked like against Ole Miss. Because I think John Summerall's a guy that has in the past shown he gets his guys up for big games, and I worry that Hugh Freeze that's going to be a struggle. We'll have to see. There's still more big games to play. Auburn's got to get up off the mat against Texas A&M. They got to turn around and do it against Georgia in those big games. But if Auburn can't get it done, especially when your defense plays more than well enough to win the game and your offense is the reason you lose, and you got an offensive head coach, that's a problem. And it seems like Auburn is falling back into that same problem they had in the Gus Malzahn era, and it's not good. And you know what I want in a coach is somebody that wants to win above all else. They'll do whatever it takes to win a game within the rules, of course. And I don't know that Hugh Freeze is that. I mean, Hugh Freeze is pretty much what I thought he would be when Auburn hired him. He'll get the talent back to a level where it needs to be, or at least in a more competitive area. But winning the games is going to be the biggest question. It's going to be the biggest question. So I don't know. We'll have to see. Those were my my raw instant reaction, my quick thoughts. Like I said, I'll be going back and watching again, watching more. I'm trying to figure out if what I thought I saw was what I actually saw before the live show tomorrow night, because I know Bryce is going to want to talk about this. He's going to have his opinions, which are probably going to be that Auburn is bad and Oklahoma dominated and John Mateer is a Heisman Trophy winner, because Bryce loves to – I'm not going to do that to Bryce and mess with him. I was going to say Bryce likes to look at things through red and black glasses, but I'm not going to do that to him. All joking. All jokes toward Bryce. But thanks for hanging out. Appreciate all the comments. Appreciate you watching. Like I said, we'll be live tomorrow night, 8:30, full week. What was this? Week 4 talk. Highlighting the big games. We'll talk more about Auburn, Oklahoma. So make sure like this stream, share it so folks can see it. You can see, and so other people can hear my frustrations. And subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss us when we go live. We're talking college football all the time on the Crowded Booth, and you don't want to miss it all year. So thanks for watching.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Coon.